Hi, this is Channel 6 News. I'm Jeanne Lerchen, along with Paul Henneke, with a look at what's happening in and around the Tri-Community area this week. Well, you may have noticed that we are not sitting on our normal news set. We are actually on the set of the Peach Queens promo for the upcoming Peach Festival, and it's a Star Trek set. And Paul, you were involved in that this weekend. Tell us a little bit about it.
I had a good time shooting it, and it's amazing how good the set turned out with just, a little bit of plastic and hard work.
That's about right. So listen, the promo will be seen in the next couple of days, right before the Peach Festival, so you want to take a look at that. At the August 10th school board meeting, resolutions were on the agenda regarding budget cuts and layoffs. Many members from the Romeo community, as well as district employees, voiced their concerns over them. Superintendent Joe Beck did address the board.
Briefly, this board, the members that have been here for a while know that we've been making reductions. The board has had to make extremely tough decisions. We've been making reductions for 7 years now. We're pushing over $10 million in reductions and layoffs of over 70, 75 people in the last 7 years. So we're hoping some of these things are temporary. We all know that next year, 2010 and 2011, is going to be probably more challenging than this year.
The board has the unpleasant task of making budgetary decisions. Board member Sue Heyer offered a temporary solution.
So I guess what I'm asking tonight is that if I am correct, and we all would like an opportunity to work together on this, could we possibly either wait for a vote on, give this 2 weeks to meet and try to work this out, these financial difficulties, because they're not going to go away, and as we all know, next year's predictions are even worse. So if we could give it 2 weeks and bring it back August 24th, or if we vote on it tonight, could we add the caveat to these resolutions that if we find the money, if we meet, if we have effective negotiations or whatever the process is to try to resolve this, that then these would be rescinded, the motions.
Joe Beck was cautious as to what can and can't be said about union negotiations in a public forum.
I can't answer. I don't want to talk about strategies at a public meeting.
Okay, so
for any negotiations.
This is not a time frame question that I want to ask. And I think Mr. Beck is understanding the question I want to ask, and I'm being told it's not a question that's appropriate to ask in open session. So I feel I have the right to ask the question and understand it.
Yes, you do.
The board went into closed session for some of this discussion, and after returning, Board President Dale Chesney had this to say.
We're facing a very difficult position within the district, and we find ourselves in the midst of the worst economic decline in Michigan in over 50 years. The district faces a potential decline in state revenues this year and almost a certain decline, even morefold, in state revenues next year, well in excess of millions of dollars. In facing these daunting challenges, the board keeps the following 3 points in mind. Number one, that the board must be fiscally responsible to ensure that the district's limited resources are able to fund its most essential functions. Number two, that collaboration with the district's various stakeholders is essential to finding new, innovative solutions to problems that are in keeping with the new economic realities of our state and community. And finally, number three, and this is most important, that every decision made by this board must be driven by an unwavering commitment to provide the best education to our students as possible. The board is faced with some very hard decisions. However, by keeping these 3 points in mind, we are confident that we will choose those options that are ultimately in the best interest of our children and community.
At the end of the meeting, Mr. Beck asked the board to consider privatizing the custodial workers.
After intense negotiations with the ASME union, it is the request of the administrative team that we need to move forward with an RFP in a timely manner.
Thank you. administration's request, be it resolved that the board review the request for proposals to contract out the district's custodial services at the board meeting on August 24th, and if possible, make a decision on such request for proposal at that meeting. Do we have support for that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. White?
Mrs. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Stoback?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
No.
Mrs. Heyer? Mr. Jacobson?
Yes.
I am yes. Mr. Chesney?
Yes.
The next day, the board held another meeting with the focus on the search for a new superintendent. The board made the following decisions. Thursday, August 20th is the day for the community to meet the candidates, and on Saturday, August 22nd, the board will conduct interviews. They also agreed to pay for travel expenses for the candidates and set the salary range for this job from $138,000 to $158,000. So if you'd like to be involved in this process of finding a new superintendent, remember August 20th. Also in school news, 2 local residents, Anita Bonnick and Dean Maui, have filed to run for the one open seat on the school board, now held by Dale Chesney. The Samaritan House is once again stepping up its efforts to help area children get ready for the new school year. Director Pamela Zendt explains the program.
This is Samaritan House's annual backpack drive, and in this promotion we have backpacks as well as we can, age and gender appropriate, for preschool through 8th grade for all the children of our clients. And our clients are all low income. In this program, each child receives a backpack with all the school supplies in it, and they also receive a Payless gift card for $20 to help them get shoes. This year, we are anticipating having to provide backpacks for about 400 students, and we are still in need of backpacks, especially for the older grades, a backpack that would be appropriate for like the 7th and 8th graders. That's our biggest need at this point in time. A lot of the little supplies we're well stocked on, and what we need are we still need the filler paper for the 3-ring binders that the kids do their reports on, and we also still need report covers. Those are our biggest needs right now, the backpacks, the filler papers, and the report covers. This program will terminate on the 28th and 29th of August when we distribute the backpacks and the shoe gift cards to our clients and their children. Samaritan House is open Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m., Friday from 10 till 4, and we're in our new location on Van Dyke between 28 and 29 Mile Road.
In Bruce Township, there's been some conversation about the possibility of putting an exit ramp onto 33 Mile Road from the bypass to help local businesses in that area. Supervisor James Tignanelli has been involved in those discussions.
Thanks, Jeanne. I appreciate the opportunity to share some of this with our viewers. Back in early 2002-2003 area, there was a redesign of M53 developed, and that was to make what had been a single lane north and south from 27 Mile Road north into 2 lanes north and south, and I'm sure you've all appreciated the outcome of that. During that time, at the developmental stage, there were a lot of meetings held to try to decide where the ingress and egress would be, where the entrance ramps, exit ramps, intersections would be. And if this occurs, it's going to be much better for our town. It's going to be better for our neighboring towns. Romeo Village's industrial park will be more accessible. Armada Township's industrial park, Supervisor John Patrick, wonderful guy, become a good friend, has given us a letter saying, wishing us the best and endorsing the idea. The Romeo DDA, if we can keep those trucks out of the village, will that be better? Of course. We have support from every angle except the people that can actually say, move ahead. And we're working in that direction, and we're excited about the possibility, but even though I consider myself an optimistic person, I realize that it's very easy for people to say no. But we're not giving up, and we're continuing to try. I think we're running out of avenues to take, but I think that's because we're reaching